Welcome everyone over here, OB Talkwire. I think this is episode number, I want to say like 18 now or something like that. I've already lost track of how many episodes I've had over here on the YouTube channel. A few other episodes coming out. Pat Sturgeon episode came out, and then Eric Hughes is going to be coming out, going to be uploading probably around tonight, I want to say. But welcome in over here, Indiana assistant to the head coach and also football operations man, Cole Peterson, former YSU player personnel and operations and recruiting. Cole, first of all, thank you for coming on. I know it's been a while. We were trying to get everything situated, but you got your new dig and all that stuff. So here you are finally.
Yeah, thanks for having me in. Appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime. You're the GOAT, as people say at Youngstown, for crying out loud. You scream grit. Every single time someone brings up Cole Peterson, it's always the grit or something like that. You show your grit on the field. You have tons of energy on, off it, during no matter if it's during pregame downtown or something like that. Talk real quick about that energy that you bring just throughout your whole life right now.
Yeah, man, it's kind of been something that, I've always kind of had since a young age. Can ask my parents, I was a crazy kid. I'd run all around the house wild, and it's kind of carried over to who I am, and if you ask anybody who knows me or who has worked with me or just even as a friend, man, you know, um, I bring a lot of energy, and it's not just one day, it's every day. And it's not just at 6 a.m., it's at 6 p.m. And it's kind of just, my DNA, it's in me, and I think that's one thing about me. I don't change, and my energy is the same it's been since I've been, from 2 years old to 24-year-old. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of who I am. It's in my DNA. My energy is contagious, I like to say. I like to feel like when I come in the room, I can bring a smile to everyone's face and get people to laugh and bring some joy. But on those Saturdays, man, I like to turn it on a switch and like you said, bring the juice.
You bring all the juice, let me tell you right now. I want to ask you this. Was Big John ever as hyped as you were before a game when he was on the
No,
field?
no,
All the or what?
yeah, Big John and me are a little different now. He gets tuned up now. I'll tell you that much. He gets tuned up, but I like to think I got a little more juice than Big John on game days. But
You
man,
got a little more juice in
he
him.
he gets tuned up. I ain't saying he don't get tuned up, but I like to say I got a little extra to me.
Yeah, trying to make sure your feed doesn't really cut out much over here. You know what I mean? I'm on my brother's Wi-Fi, by the way. I'm actually at his house
Gotcha.
doing this.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because here's the thing about basements and just a room in general. When you live, still with the fam and their home, stuff like that during the night, you gotta find somewhere to do it. And
Yeah.
then you have dinner planned and all that stuff. So pretty much, you have to find somewhere where it's like pretty nice view like this, or there's another room like that. You have to
Uh,
have that instead of having it like in your bedroom where it's sometimes could be around hot 80 degrees, even if it with this
yeah.
weather that we're having in Ohio right now, or in your basement where one of the lights have burnt out. So I had to move over here a little bit with the
I
Wi-Fi.
hear you, man. Yeah, no doubt.
So talk about real quick this whole, you know, I want to say your career so far. Because you started football, I want to say really at a young age. Your dad, of course, played for Ohio State, coached for a few teams. When do you start really getting into the sport?
I think I've always been into the sport, just kind of really truly born into it. But I've grown up so uniquely within it. I truly started working within a football office at the age of 11. And so it's been something that's been in me. I've seen it, done so many different ways and been around so many different people and been able to meet so many different people who've had such a great impact on me at such a young age, which is, ultimately led me to where I am today here at Indiana. So growing up, obviously as a coach's kid and being under my dad at all those places, it was so unique and such a cool way to grow up. Obviously being able to go to work with your dad every day is something that you'll cherish forever. And you never know if you'll ever get that chance again. And, my short career, shoot, I haven't even been graduated from college for a year, not even, shoot, not even half a year. You know what I mean? So, it's happened so fast for me in my career so far. I was a student coach and did all those things, and was an undergrad and did all those things, and they were great and they prepared me for this opportunity. And right when I graduated, it was kind of all over the place. I had a lot of different opportunities at different schools and things of that sort. And, forever thankful to Coach Phillips at Youngstown State. There was so much going on and everything. And there was an opportunity there with some guys leaving, and filled in that role as their DFO and DPP, and, took a head on and had a blast, and really, really loved what he was doing with the program, and everyone around there was unbelievable, and had an opportunity, my short 3.5 months in that role, and really just tried to do everything that I knew I could do. It wasn't, I always say this, it wasn't about proving anyone wrong. It was just proving me right, and
Yeah.
the biggest thing when I say that is, it wasn't about like, oh man, like I'm gonna do that, like I just graduated. Like it was just me saying, you know what, like I can do this. Like I knew I could do it, and now I'm in that role and I could do it. And then honestly, and people ask, I had no intentions leaving or anything like that. It was one of those phone calls out of the blue, and a lot of times that's what happens in this business. And got a call, here from Indiana, and he thought long and hard about it, and came down here and met everybody and did all those things. And I really felt, I prayed on it. At the end of the day, I really felt God was leading me, to Bloomington. And when you reflect on so many things in your life and those opportunities, man, and I've never been in a better situation than I am here at Indiana University.
I'd imagine that call was pretty special, but also, you see an Indiana number, you're probably thinking at your point, someone's maybe trying to, I don't know, scam you out of some one of those scam calls pretty much. And then
Yeah,
also,
no
so
doubt.
I
No
imagine,
doubt.
I don't know if you hung up the phone once and then they called again or something like that, or
I actually
how's
denied the
it?
first call. I actually denied the first call. If I don't
Yeah.
really have your number, if I don't have your number or anything, I usually turn it down. And I'm like, if they really need me, they'll leave me a voicemail or text me.
And
And you see that, you get a little text and you're like, oh, I probably should call them back. So,
yeah, it's
that's
before
what
they
I'm
move on to the next person out of nowhere, you better gotta make the right
like.
choice. Talk about real quick, because you said you grew up in football since the age, your first ever big coaching gig. I want to ask you about, because so
Yeah.
many people, I mean, they usually start being a coach, I want to say, when they stop playing football, you know what I mean? No matter if it's like high school, but mostly,
Yeah.
college, of course, if you want to get to the big ranks. What was your first like coaching experience?
My first coaching experience really started, had a little glimpse of it when my dad was in Ohio State. I was younger than, 10, 10 years old at that. But really, a man named Garrett McGee, who's offense coordinator at Purdue now, was our head coach at University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Mhm.
My dad moved down there. I was around 12 years old, and Coach McGee was a coach's kid. And he told me the first time I went down there that I had all access to everything. And when you hear that, you don't really know what it means. And I just kind of started showing up at the office, and I was doing all sort of things. And the GAs were loving me because I was doing bus checks for them, and little things like that. And I was helping our DFO pass out meals. And I was running around on the field, picking up balls and wiping stuff down. And,
Oh boy.
I was just doing a little of everything. And I just loved it because I ended up hanging out with the players 24/7. And like that just it kept going and growing and growing and growing. And from there I just knew, like I knew I wanted to work in football. And the I guess that's my first gig, you can say. And then, my really first true football job where I was getting checks and had insurance, doing all those things. And really at Youngstown State, this past whatever it was, a half a year ago. You know what I mean? So like, because really up until then, I was still an undergrad. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
People, if you look at me, you're like, you'd be like, man, he works full time. Be like, no, he's in high school still, or he's in college. You know what I mean? And
Undergrad, yeah. You're
so
just
for
there.
me, I really did. My first true gig I graduated college and I had all those opportunities. I had to pick kind of what fit me, and ultimately in this business, you want to be around good people. And I had plenty of opportunities with a lot of good people, and ultimately, Coach Phillips at YSU was one of the greatest. And he's an unbelievable mentor of mine and great friend, and et cetera there. So, to be with him at YSU was a perfect fit for me.
What about your time? I want to just say, you said your dad, you were mostly at Ohio State when dad was there. What was that? 04 to 11, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
04 to 11. So think about this. You get Jim Tressel's your coach, your dad's on the staff. You got Luke Fickell, now a head coach in Cincinnati. And how about the players? You got to watch Troy Smith live every
Mhm.
single time, basically on the sidelines when you're a ball boy.
Yeah.
Ted Ginn Jr., Antonio Pittman, for example, Brian Robisky. I mean, the names just go on and on for something like Ohio State. And then, even at the later times, like at Pitt, when you coach and all that, how is it watching just star players who, of course, Heisman winner, and you
Mhm.
also have players who have made it to the NFL, like a bunch of these players from the schools you've been to that have made it to the NFL. What is that? What was that feeling like, just interacting with players like that and just watching them like succeed all the way through college and then being drafted?
It's so unique. When you say when you're in the moment, you don't really understand how special it is. And in my role, and as a you look at them more as a person rather than maybe some look at them as celebrities. And it's unbelievable to obviously those names you mentioned, and seeing what they were able to do with the game of football, and not only just football but used football as for different avenues in life. Antonio Pittman, you mentioned, I still talk to Pitt, and I talk to all those guys, you know what I mean? And you have connections with them, but like, man, you look at Antonio Pittman, who's a firefighter, and he's in the city of Columbus now doing amazing things. And the list goes on in those things too. But, as you say, that some have those opportunities to go in the NFL, like you said, all those different names, you know what I mean? And like a Ted Ginn Jr., you know what I mean? I can vividly remember at the Fiesta Bowl in '05, I'm jumping off the diving board and he's throwing me the football, vice versa. I'm getting Christmas gifts and it's Ted Ginn, it's his jersey, you know what I mean? He signed it for me and
Yeah.
all those things. And you don't think about those things in the moment because you think of them just, hey, that's dad's player. You know what I mean? And you look at it and you look back at it now and you're like, holy,
Yeah.
holy smokes, Ted Ginn, he played in the NFL for 15 years. You know what I mean? And so those are so unique. And obviously, having so many guys, like that to look in the National Football League, people always ask me, what NFL team do you like? I don't like an NFL team. I mean, I like NFL players, who my dad's have the opportunities to coach and who I've had the opportunities to be around and do all those things. So that's really where, goes in that sense. But not only, the National Football League, I think it's cooler to just have those connections with all of my dad's players outside the National Football League. And don't get me wrong, the NFL is awesome. Like, I love watching my dad's guys play, and I think it's one of the coolest things ever to turn on TV on Sundays and
Oh, yeah.
Mondays and Thursdays and see that dad's got all those players and all those guys. I'm messaging on social media, but it's all those guys too who are not in the NFL who are just as successful doing whatever they are, in their fields. And I truly feel like I can go to any city in America and I'm going to be able to probably go on social media and locate one of my dad's former players or someone we've connected with throughout all my moves, and just being able to catch up with someone, not even just in the NFL, but just as one of his former players.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone. I feel like a lot of fans that are on there don't really know what these players do, their pastime. I've got a better sense of it, because I worked with you, YSU. Of course, we were
Yeah.
maybe in different departments, but I got a sense of what players want to do and like a kind of like a time, stuff like that. So we're gonna take a real quick short break, Cole, and we're gonna be right back actually over here on the Talkwire. How about that?
Okay. Yes, sir.
We're gonna take a little short break for some advertisements. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back everyone over here. OB Talkwire taking another ad break in about, I want to say 10 minutes. I didn't think Zoom had payment on here, first of all. Kind of weird how that works, right? What I was getting at though, Cole, is I feel like a lot of these parents and fans, who watch these games don't really know much about, like, I want to say the players' personal lives. I mean, most of them get mad if you don't perform well in your fantasy league, or if you have like an off game and like losing the college football playoff or wherever, for example. I don't think they know like what goes on though, like around the life. And what would be the information I want to say to like parents that like don't know about that?
Yeah, I think being a student athlete, there's so many different, things that people don't know that they do on a daily basis. It's not just football in school. There's a million other things, and especially at this level, you have so much pressure to perform at such a high level week in and week out on a nationally televised basis, and you're criticized on every little thing you do. And so I think it's just learning, what it really is to be a Division 1 football athlete, and all those things that comes with. It's not just show up to practice and do these things. You're weight training, you're going to tutoring, you're getting treatment, you're also going to practice, and you're coming back for film, and you're doing a million different things. And those things don't, get shown on a daily basis. And, you know, on top of that, guess what? You can do all those things and still not get the results you want. And I think that's the toughest thing with being a Division 1 athlete. And you can do all those things and feel like you're doing the absolute best, and you're still not reaching that result. But then you got to realize, guess what? There's 120 other teams doing the same exact thing.
Mhm.
So, my thing, to everybody, when you ask that question, not only to the players, but parents and everything, parents is one, understanding really what it is the person is doing and truly figuring out that. But, as an athlete too, challenging yourself to be your best version of you. And, whatever that version is, that's up to you, and, I always say to myself, I promise you one thing, my version of me is, nobody's going to outwork me. I mean, if you have that mindset, I think,
I'm the man who I am. That's
yeah.
pretty much what
So,
it is.
I think, when you have that mindset, you can go a long way in this life.
Yeah, I really want to think about that too, because again, there's a lot of players, who do that. They go to a good side of life, you know what I mean? They keep on moving on with their dreams, but others don't make the right choice, and that can lead you in like a bad situation from like time to time. I know you've probably experienced it working the college level, being a
Mhm.
collegiate player, like I don't know how many times. I mean, and you don't got to drop names or anything like that, but you've experienced some stuff that's probably hasn't really been the best choice with someone. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You kind of see that with the NFL too. I mean, look at the Bills punter, Matt Araiza, for example, and all that, or the former Bills punter, Deshaun Watson, for example, like that. They're college athletes who got to a good position. Wait, what was that?
You glitched out there.
I did. I said like college athletes who went to like a good decision or were doing good and then made a poor decision in a way, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you always have to weigh your decisions and everything you do in life. And, my dad always told me at a young age, don't let a 10-second decision, make a difference 10 years of your life, and that really stuck with me, in every decision you make. There's so many distractions in this world right now, that you really truly have to analyze every little thing you do in life, and how it can affect not only you, but everyone else around you.
I'd imagine so, because you don't know what's going to happen. Again, it's family. It's kind
Mhm.
of like when someone would go wrong with your family and stuff like that. And in a way, you have to make sure basically, hey, I can't let my family get in trouble. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I can't let them make a choice where they could possibly hurt themselves and hurt our team in the process. It could be like you're about to go to state championship and someone gets tested for like PEDs or something like that. You know what I mean? Then there's your bad choice, and boom, next thing you know, you guys lose because of that,
Yeah,
like in a
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Well, that's examples of like what has happened, I'm pretty sure. What about though, I won't say in a way, just the quality so far, I mean, the difference between just now working the FBS compared to like the FCS.
Mhm. Yeah, there is a difference, and you'd be lying if you said there's not. And, it's you can't compare those two things, and not in a negative way. There's just a different level, and there's different budgets, and there's different things of that sort that you have access to at this level that you don't have at that level. And not that, at that level they don't have everything you need. Guess what? You just have everything you need here and then some, and so there's just a lot of those, benefits that you can provide your kids at this level, that are unbelievable opportunities, maybe that you can't at a level, in FCS.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's right now we're less than a minute into this one recording. So what I think we're gonna do, switch to a different one over here on this Zoom and be right back over here, see if the payment works. Right again, everyone, you are listening to the OB Talkwire podcast. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. OB Talkwire. First of all, I give out fixed sponsorship sometimes because I'm trying to get real sponsorship on the show. I mean, I'm not popular by any means, but I try to be. This is called Canned Gatorade. You can find some at Indiana University. Shout out Cole Peterson. He did not ship me this, by the way. He should have, instead of me having to spend some money on it. Once again, shout out to Cole Peterson and Canned Gatorade for giving me that. You said you had some Canned Gatorade actually at Indiana.
Yeah, we got a few. We got a few laying around.
What more flavors do you have? Are you more of a fruit punch guy, orange, lemon lime? What's your type of Gatorade?
Honestly, I don't drink Gatorade. There's a lot of sugar in it, so I kind of just drink Propel.
Propel?
Yeah.
That's what, I mean, that's more of that's electrolyte too, though, right?
Yeah. Propel and Gator or Propel and iced coffee. That's what fuels me. I throw a few Diet Cokes and Red Bulls in there too.
Diet, but I mean, Diet Coke isn't really the healthiest, though. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone says,
I love Coke. Diet Coke. You can blame my mother for that. She'll watch this. You can blame Mom. The Diet Coke is because of you.
That's funny. So we were on the subject though about just players and all around the difference between FBS and FCS school. How about just I want to say the atmosphere because you're in the Big Ten. I mean, you're under Coach Allen right now, and a few other these like big time coaches who have had some success, in the Big Ten, Indiana, whatnot. I mean, what's it like though? I mean, you're in the Big Ten. You play teams like Ohio State. You play teams like Michigan. I mean, Michigan State, Penn State, especially Penn State in a rivalry game that is. Talk about that atmosphere, just playing against these bigger teams compared to not dissing the Missouri Valley or anything, but maybe some are like smaller compared to these teams.
Yeah, it's different. It is, and that's where the atmospheres really come into play. There's unbelievable atmospheres at that level, but at this level, there's a difference. Obviously, like we're going to play Nebraska this week, gonna be 90,000 people sold out. Night game. And those are atmospheres. Obviously, you don't experience at those levels unless you obviously play up in those, money games or whatever you want to call them. But those are unique opportunities, and I like to say, as much as those teams, yeah, it's great to play them. They got to play us too. We've got great players here at Indiana and done an unbelievable job. Our staff and everybody here to prepare our kids, and we feel those opportunities are just as big as for those teams. Excited for us to play them.
Yeah, I imagine bigger, especially with those teams right there. Trying to hear your voice right there. You didn't glitch out, but you froze for a second. You were still talking. How it is usually on calls, stuff like that. I imagine when you were doing all those meetings during YSU, it was during that whole pandemic time and all that. It was probably a pain trying to hear some of these people.
Yeah, no, man, it was definitely unique. Definitely something I don't ever want to go back to again.
The only reason why I'm doing it on here is because I don't have time to drive up to Indiana. What was that from Youngstown? Like 6 hours, 7?
Yeah, about six.
Yeah, I mean, I've already taken the bus to East Lansing, driven 4 hours to Michigan. Have my dad drive 4 hours to Michigan. I'm fine. I mean, sometimes even like all these travel games that I did last year for Ursuline, dude, I never drove as the play-by-play guy.
Yeah, just rock and roll, brother.
No, you always see you have your second guy, your color commentator, your camera guy drive you up there is what you had.
Big time.
Hey, especially with how gas was last year. not doing that. But how about I want to go real quick. Your biggest story, I want to say, what was the biggest, I want to say, story that you've had throughout all the teams that you were with? How about your one time like story of Cole Peterson, like his biggest game that he had? Because I don't know if you played a little bit of football, right? I don't know if you did at all. I don't know if you played a little bit. I know you probably, of course, watched it as well. Talk about like your biggest story throughout your like life.
Biggest story throughout my life.
Yeah, the biggest story throughout your life, either watching a game on the sideline or you playing the sport.
I've been, obviously, shoot, I played the game, but I obviously went to 3 high schools in 3 years, and by my 3rd high school, I kind of knew I wanted to work in this profession and really didn't take the time to join another high school team and try to do that whole route, and just started truly going to work with my dad every day. So, playing in it, I played the game. I know the game. I lived the game, and biggest moment, I've been able to be around the best of the best at the highest level. I've been able to, see 4 national championships in person up close. Been able to see, 10 BCS bowls, been able to see, you name a certain type of player, I've probably seen them play in person or had the opportunity to meet them or be on the same field as them. So, those opportunities, that list goes on and on. I've seen Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham catching balls 2 feet from me. I've seen Jadeveon Clowney take someone's head off 10 feet away from me. You know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
are names that, pop in your head, that you get back to Ohio State, you think about all those players. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins to the Terrell Pryors, to the James Laurinaitis, to shoot Marcus Freeman, the Luke Fickles, they were coaching. Marcus Freeman's playing. Now Marcus Freeman's the head coach at Notre Dame. Luke's the head coach at Cincinnati. You know what I mean? You just see so many people shoot. Talk about Jim Tressler on him every day. I mean, college football, Hall of Fame legend. You know what I mean? And so fortunate. You talk about big moments, and that list goes on and on. And the people who've been able to impact me in my life and have those type of moments.
You just know everyone with it though is a thing because you grew up in that facility. I mean, you were with Tressel's staff till till 2011 when he stepped down. But I mean, I think that's also how you got involved. Knew a little bit of Doug Phillips too for that one season. He was at Ohio State. What was that? 06, right?
Yep.
That
Yeah. And
was
I was so young. I was a little rugrat running around, and obviously Coach Phillips, my father, had that relationship, and which ultimately led us, when Coach got on at YSU, my dad and I had the opportunity to get on with him there, and the rest was history.
yeah, gone with him, and even like Coach Bo the first time around. You know, what I mean, Bo Pelini played a big impact too.
Yeah,
Talk
huge
about
impact.
yeah. Go ahead. What you're about to say about Coach
Yeah,
Bo?
yeah. Coach Bo's an unbelievable, figure in my life, and obviously his son Patrick and I are very good friends. But I think most people, probably don't know that, my dad and Bo were college teammates, and Peterson, Pelini, back then, that those two last names go together. So you're right next to each other. You go into college together, and those two have became unbelievable friends, obviously throughout college. And so yeah, obviously having the opportunity to work under Coach Bo, and I've known Coach Bo since I've been born. You know what I mean? And he's played such a huge role in my life. Not only in the football profession, but just as a, becoming a man. And take so much from him, working under him, and just being around him. So yeah, I can't thank Coach Bo enough for everything he's done for me, and yeah, I'm so thankful for him.
Here's the thing. If you're a true Coach Bo stan, as they say, or a big fan, let's see if you know his first head coaching game. I want to see if you know that. Gotta quiz you a
First
bit.
head coaching game. Well,
Yeah.
he would have been at the University of Nebraska.
What year? Well,
He
because
was
I looked it
DC.
up. I didn't
He
even
was a
realize it.
DC. He was a DC at LSU. It would have been 2009 or 2008.
So to that, but I didn't even know this apparently. There was one bowl game, I think it was. Like I looked on his Wikipedia. You could if someone finds out, they probably let me actually see because it was one bowl game. And I'm pretty sure it said 2003 one time when it was the interim at
Oklahoma.
no at what was it? He was the interim at Nebraska because he was at
Oh,
Nebraska for a little bit. Apparently,
okay, I totally forgot about that.
yeah, he like one game in Nebraska. He was a coach, and it's because I didn't even realize this, but I think he talked about it on like a podcast or it was I read it on him or something like this thing that they have like someone made a YouTube video about it, and then he
Mhm.
lost his spot to a Bill Callahan because obviously he got fired, but you're gonna get him because he had won this because he was in a Super Bowl, like almost won a Super Bowl, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So they picked him over, but I didn't even realize if you knew that stat because I didn't know that stat before I looked it up.
It's pretty impressive.
I try and do my homework sometimes, you know what I mean? Look, here's the thing, I don't have any homework because I'm not in school anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Nice.
oh yeah, but it's crazy stuff, the history that you find out over here. And you're a pretty big name, especially when people look you up like on Google and all that stuff. Indiana, but also, YSU too. What's it like kind of, I want to say, getting your name like on Google, being like, hey, look, son's coach and all that stuff, doing a great job. People making newsletters like, articles about you? Like there's an article where you're like the youngest uh person to join Indiana staff kind of as like a assistant to the head coach. What was that like?
I don't really let it get to me, honestly.
Really?
Uh, I'm thankful for everything, and obviously I've been blessed to be around a ton of great people at a young age who've, allowed me to be in this situation. And, obviously without having great parents and great people in my life and, leading by faith and all those things to put me in this situation. Um, Obviously it's a great honor to be recognized and all those things, but it's good. I'm so thankful for it and all that recognition and all those things. And at the end of the day, it's work to me. It's what I do. It's what I'll continue to do. And obviously, I'm young. I know that everybody knows that. You might look at me, you're like, how the heck is he doing this at this age? I get that every day. And that's what kind of burns inside of me, and that's kind of back to that statement. It's never about proving anyone wrong, it's proving me right, and I don't care what I I don't care what other people say,
Yeah.
because I know, what I'm doing. I know I'm doing it the highest of the highs and the best of my capability, and I feel like it's pretty darn good. And I'll continue to keep doing that and keep progressing and keep learning every day and doing those things to ultimately, take this profession as far as I can take it.
Yeah, there's all family walk through the door. It's only the ones that live here though. Three things are definitely big on that one. You want to say the confidence in yourself, never down yourself, and of course
Mhm.
working hard. Those are basically
Yeah.
the three. Those are the three biggest things. I feel like some people go underneath, or they choke. They say choke, or they say they curl up. Whenever a big situation's like that, how don't you curl up in a situation? How does Cole Peterson step up?
Man, I love it. You know what I mean? And you can ask anybody around me. I'm a problem solver. The more things you can throw at me, the more pressure you can put on me. Like I want it all, and I really you can ask any when that pressure's on, that's probably when I'm at my best, and um I love I love having a zillion different things to do and 100 people screaming and yelling, and I'm gonna be calm, cool, and collected, and I'm gonna figure it out, And so I think it's just having that level head and obviously having all those things to reference, working at so many different places and being around so many different people and seeing how so many different people do things. And you have some real life experiences to be able to handle those type of situations.
We're going back a little bit now to the football part. You said before you were on the silence and all that. Were you on the silence for were you ever on silence for I want to say like big time NFL games? I mean, we're talking to watch some of your players play.
In the NFL, you really don't get on the sideline other than pregame. So yeah, obviously when I go to a game, I'm able to get on the sideline and see those guys pregame and see them up close. But NFL is pretty tight on that. It's not like college. You don't get, all those field passes and allow family and friends to get down there and stand in the corners and stuff. NFL, it's pretty pretty locked down on those type of things.
Really. I mean, you probably know more about it than I definitely do. How is it more, I want to say tight compared to like college? Do you think it's
I
because
think it's just different levels, at
different
that
levels?
level. It's so extreme to the extreme, not saying college isn't, just saying you have a little more flexibility on those type of things,
Yeah.
within those levels.
I thought you were about to say one thing because all these fans keep on running through the field and stuff like that. You always have that one fan that's always running through the field drunk.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's probably you. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I mean, it could, hey, could be me. Who knows? They haven't caught me yet. I mean, hey, look, if the Browns somehow like do not blow against the Falcons, you might be seeing me on the Cleveland news. I'm just saying, running around the field afterwards. No, I'm playing right there though. But I don't know if really, there's been a couple times that I'm surprised that's never happened in a YSU game or even an Indiana game with you yet. I don't know if you saw the LSU one or that one fan was just like standing on the field like how a coach stands with his
Yeah, I
hands
did
on
see
his hips.
I did see that.
I mean, your reaction of that? I mean, I know you probably laugh, but you also got to make sure, like at this time, you're like, oh, I got to make sure that nothing happens like that at these Indiana games.
Yeah. No, I think, things like that happen. You just let security and, people within, stadium services handle those things and move on and go play.
I've seen some big security downs like against those people that like try and storm the field and all that. I've seen some will
Yeah.
hold him. Oh, I've seen others where they'll actually like tackle the guy, like full
Mhm.
force tackle. I mean, you got to put him on the offensive line if your offensive line's struggling. Like have it have it be who is Eli Manning just now? Chad. Be like that dude or something like that.
Yeah, no
Bring
doubt.
him
No
bring him
doubt.
in for a scout for a scouting procedure or something like that. Talk about now Indiana, of course, first year once again. I know you
Mhm.
just recently had a game, and this is actually a big one for you and big one for Big John. You know, you two, first time you two actually get, I want to say coached against each other because you've been with each other, you and your dad forever, basically. I know your
Yeah.
first year came in YSU 2018. He was still, I think, getting off the pit job. I think it was still trying to look,
Mhm.
was coming to YSU the next year. So that was like the only time you weren't really, I'd say, with him, but you
Yeah.
pitched against him pretty much. What's that experience? What was that experience like? I know you guys didn't come away with the dub. It's unfortunate, but what was that like? That whole atmosphere, that just that whole weekend.
Yeah, it was special. It was special. Something you'll cherish forever. And win or lose, that's irrelevant. Those type of situations, such as an unbelievable opportunity to obviously be up against him, and obviously someone is my biggest mentor and my best friend, and everything else in between, and someone you talk to every day and look up to since you've been a baby and want to do everything just like him. And having the opportunity was awesome. And then you don't have the opportunity to have so many different family and friends in town to see it and be around us pregame. And you don't ever get to spend enough time, you feel like. And it was just an unbelievable moment that I'll cherish forever, win or lose.
Yeah, and I imagine for you, you're probably just like it was an awe. I mean, I would be in awe too if like you're coaching against
Mhm.
like basically your father, your
Yeah.
mentor, stuff like that. Because you grow up with, it's not like, oh, there's where people just have your regular like 9 to 5 dad or something like that. I mean, you had a dad basically, again, you had to move out of high schools like 3 times because he
Yeah.
had to find jobs. Just the grind that he had, the grit that he still has also, everything
Mhm.
like that. I imagine you were just like, man, if I could beat him then, I could go brag to him right after and
No
then
doubt.
you'll love him after.
Mhm.
Mess with him, tease him a bit right there, talk about. But I mean, talk about for also for Indiana, Coach Allen, because
Mhm.
2 years ago, the COVID season, they were pretty good. Then last year, maybe a little bit of a slump, but now there seems like they're getting back to the rhythm right now. 3-1. What's the atmosphere like right now, just with that football team, Coach Allen and staff?
Yeah, we're relentless, gritty, hard nosed, tough, chip on our shoulder group. Love based, truly an unbelievable person. Take football out of the picture. He's an unbelievable person, and it reflects on every aspect of our football program. And then also, then you add on top of that, he's an unbelievable coach. And they go hand in hand. And the atmosphere he creates here is one of a kind. I've never been around something so special. And how he cares for not only his players but his staff and everybody around him within the organization. He's awesome, and it affects everyone within the building, and it reflects on our kids and how they work day in and day out. And he's truly just he's awesome. You know what I mean? I can't say enough good. I mean, great things about him and what we do here. And obviously, he's done an unbelievable job leading us this year. And obviously, last week wasn't the result we wanted, and we know that. And, we've worked tirelessly to prepare this week, and we know what's ahead of us this week in Lincoln. And unbelievable opportunity for our kids and our staff and our program. And this team, and to represent the great state of Indiana, this program, and go into Lincoln and come away with a road win in the Big Ten, and have an opportunity to be 2-0 in the Big Ten and throw up 4-1 overall.
One overall, that could be a really good start, especially again, halfway through the season. It's going to be soon. Bulls predictions will be coming up too. That's going to be big for you guys if you get that bowl game. Also, what about the two? I want, besides Coach Allen, best coach you've ever talked to, like just like personally telling jokes and stuff like that, having a good time with. Best coach besides your dad and besides Coach Allen, who else would you say?
Jim Tressel. It's not even a question. You know,
Hashtag quiet time.
yeah, he's just when you talk about a special human being, and probably the person who's impacted me the most in my life besides my dad's been Jim Tressel. And he's taught me everything on how to treat people the right way and do things the right way and be about it. And not just talking and everything in between. He's really a special person to me, and obviously to my family and everybody else. And I'd have to say Coach Tressel.
He's done a lot of stuff good indeed. He knows my dad. There's a funny story actually with that. He knows my dad. My dad has little connections with him because, of course, professor, stuff like that. So, I lettered, I think it was a year, 2016. It was my senior year. So, or actually 15. I got on the sidelines. I lettered the year before as the kicker at Ursuline. And I was wearing my Letterman jacket. And it's like, and apparently Trust called down Rick Love because he knows my dad too. He's like, hey, you can't be wearing your Letterman jacket right there on the sideline. So you're gonna have to go into the stance. It's almost like I think you could say I maybe stormed the field that time, but
Yeah,
Tressel was the one who called in. Actually, I think it was to my dad or
I
something
love
like
it.
that.
That's funny.
But that was that was kind of like that wasn't the first interaction really. I've had a few interactions with Coach Tressel. Good guy. I hope I could definitely get him on the show sometime before he decides to move out of Youngstown when he steps down after the winter season. But that would definitely, I want to say, pretty much be cool. Who else would you say besides Tressel?
I'd have to, the list goes on and on there. But you look at people you talk to within this profession, and probably one of my closest friends within this profession is Donald Delicio, who I worked with at Youngstown State, who's now the safeties coach at Kansas City.
Shout out Donald Delicio. Shout out to Don.
Yeah, that's that's one of my really good friends, and someone I talk to weekly, and just a huge advocate for me and what I do, and obviously vice versa as I am for him. And two young guys, who are obviously were great friends, but obviously we like to bounce different ideas off, and obviously being in the same profession and just different levels and things of that sort, and however we can help each other. And the ultimate goal is to be rocking and rolling with him on a staff one day.
Rock and rolling indeed right there. So Cole, I want to go real quick over here. The final question as for my view, there's actually two cats right now hissing at each other. So I don't know if you actually heard that, but final question I want to say right now, what makes you Cole Peterson? Just what makes you the man, would you say? What makes you just want to get up every morning and say, let's have a great day?
Yeah, I think what makes me is it's not about me. It's never going to be about me. It's about the program I'm within and all the kids I get to interact with on a daily basis. And if you're in this profession, you think it's about you, then you should probably get out of this profession. I'll be honest with you, because the minute you start seeing it's not for the kids, you're not in it for the right reason. And I come to work every day to impact 120, 30 players on this roster. And I want to talk to them every day. I want to bring a smile to their face every day. And I want to do every single thing to make them a better person, not only as a football player, but off the field. And that's what makes me me. And if I'm not doing that job to make those kids better, then I'm not doing a good job. And that's a direct reflection of me. And it's bigger than me. It's bigger than anyone. It's bigger than anyone in this business. It's about the kids, and for me that's what makes Cole Peterson Cole Peterson. It's not Cole Peterson. I want to be able to affect everybody else besides Cole Peterson. And if that's happening, then Cole Peterson's doing his job.
That's a good point right there, because so many times, and I was actually in this situation once. If it was like, I was young at the time too, when I was helping out the kickers at Ursuline, I thought, hey, I'm star over here because I kicked well. I thought it was kind of like all about me. And because the problem is also I was around kind of like a high school team that was like that at Ursuline, especially we won a decent amount of games, made to the state semis my junior year, but then it seemed like all during those times, everyone was about me, me, me. You know what I mean? You were the person to say, oh man, I could probably get a girl if I perform good tonight. You know what I mean? Rush for like 3 touchdowns, beat Mooney, like, you know what I mean? Instead, and I was kind of like in this situation too. But as I've grown, I've seen how much like it actually played a big, like it backfired on a lot of people and a
Mhm.
lot of their career and stuff like that. They focused on the wrong thing because of that, because they thought it was all about me and stuff like that. Like no one else matters. And they always say kind of like, worry about yourself in situations, but you also gotta worry about who's around you too. Like, cause you don't know who's around you, who can help you out, who's your bro and stuff like that, who's your boy, who's your family really, like you have in Indiana right now. Cause you all, I could tell right now, it's all about you all work as a team, you know what I mean? Especially with the players, they work as a team, they love each other, they love you guys. And that's why you guys are, first of all, 3-1. If you don't, if you're not 3-1 if you don't have a team like that, you know what I mean? Unless, even if you have like some superstar players, you're mostly, 0-4, or you're part of those little teams too, which can't find success in a way.
Mhm.
So real quick, final one, what can we expect for the Indiana Hoosiers for these next few weeks?
You're going to see a fiery football team with a relentless edge about themselves, with a chip on their shoulder every week to prove something. That's what you're going to see from us.
I love that attitude right there. So once again, Cole, I want to say thank you for coming on, my man. You do a lot of great stuff for college football. Let me just tell you that right now. Being with a Big Ten school, Power Five conference, a really good program in Indiana, a program that's looking to get back to their winning ways, is possibly going to go back to their winning ways. And it's just been really good talking with you. Of course, I've known you for a long time. We tried to get this set up how many times?
I feel like it happened every week, and we just couldn't.
Every week. I remember exactly when it happened. Say, hey, we could do this, and you're like, get moving it. And
I know
then I saw your post that I saw your post, you're moving to Indiana. I'm like, dude,
so much transition.
so much transition right there. But we finally got it in,
I
which,
know. I'm glad, man.
which I was hyped. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
no, 100%.
But once again, where can people, I want to say, find you at, especially like if any like high school kids watching this and they want to say maybe put their film out on you, where should they find you at?
Just, social media is the best way to do it. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram and get it to me that way.
I mean, those would be what, Cole Peterson, would it be, or
Yeah, Cole 1 Peterson on Twitter and Cole 7 Peterson on Instagram.
on Instagram? Okay, so those are pretty good names right there. But Cole, I want to let you know once again, thank you for coming on. Who knows, maybe Big Sean could come on the pod sometimes too. You might have to get him on too, talk about his time. That would be an awesome story. But I want to thank Cole Peterson once again, assistant head to the head coach, and of course operations at Indiana. And once again, here at the OB Talkwire, followed on TikTok at OB Talkwire, the Instagram reels at OB Talkwire, Twitter. Well, you can just find me at Ian OB O'Brien. The page doesn't also have a Facebook right there, so you can just find me on those accounts. But once again, I want to thank Cole Peterson for coming on the show. I want to thank everyone that's been tuning in over here. I know I had to get a few more uploads in, did one with Eric Hughes, and came back to this one. Actually, I've been a little bit busy as well. Cole's been busy. I've been busy over here, but we found enough time to get this one in. So I want to thank Cole Peterson once again for coming on. Cole, it's been a pleasure, my man.
Thanks for having me on LEO.
Anytime, bro. Once again, this was the OB Talkwire podcast. I will see you all next time.